Module 3, Road Design, Engineering and Planning. This module is designed to outline the key elements in road design, engineering and planning that impact on motorcycle safety. Mr. Beer will start Module 3.
I need to move on to the next module, which is, and it's the engineering, the road design and the planning for motorcycle safety. We'll start with a few little bits about motorcycle safety and what you can do in the engineering of a road and a road environment and a transport system for motorcycle safety. I use these points to think about the needs of motorcycle riders when I'm designing a road or planning a road. Separation. If we can separate the motorcyclists from the cars and the trucks and the pedestrians, this is a very helpful thing. I'll give you examples and photos of this later. Speed. Speed is it's the biggest issue when we talk about crashes on the road. We talked earlier about the human's body, the capability of the human body to handle forces, the kinetic energy. The lower the speed, the less the kinetic energy. We'll talk in a minute about ways that you can manage speed, because it's not just a speed limit. You can do other things. Surface. The motorcycle has two small patches that connect with the road. A car has 4 big patches. A truck has even more. The surface of the road can be an issue for motorcyclists. We'll talk more about that. Sight. And by this I mean motorcyclists are very small compared to cars, compared to trucks. They can be hard to see. So we need to think about sight lines and the ability for other road users to be able to see motorcyclists. Signs. These are road signs. When there is a hazard, something dangerous, first thing we like to do, get rid of that dangerous thing. That's number one. If you want to get rid of it. If you can't get rid of it for one reason or another, you want to protect that hazard. Somehow, maybe guard fencing, other ways that you may protect. But if you can't protect it, you need to warn the road user. There's something coming up that's dangerous. And for motorcyclists, this is even more important. And they're very aware of their surroundings. They're always looking around, they know what's happening. It's a very active form of transport. And they rely on signs, and they can be very helpful. I put there the word strike. I wanted to use all S's. Strike means objects that you hit, solid objects that you strike. They are very dangerous for motorcyclists, and I will show you examples. Let's have a look at some actual road environments in some of your countries, and we'll look at what's good, and we'll look at some things that may be not so good. Okay, this is good. We have a separated lane. That was that first point that I made. Separation is a very good thing there. So we can have the cars using this, the motorcyclists using this. From a motorcycle safety perspective, if you have a high number of motorcycle riders, it becomes a viable thing to do from a benefit cost perspective. And then you can provide a lane like that. Now, the allocation of road space can be a very tricky thing, especially in congested areas. And if you provide a dedicated motorcycle lane in a lot of areas and it is congested, the cars will use it. Everybody will use it. So you need to keep that in mind as well when you're building them. So a lane like that in a congested, built-up area will be used by cars as well, probably. So you can either enforce that heavily, or you can look to maybe physically separate it so cars can't get in there. Another example here, this is also a very good one, and I like this one even more. I gave it an extra tick because it had this extra little bit of space here, which means that if maybe a car did come in here, the motorcycle rider has room to recover, to deviate off the road, to avoid things. I think this one is in Thailand. Yeah. So this is very good. I like this. And another thing I like about this is a nice smooth road surface. Another example of what can be very beneficial. We have a nice motorcycle lane here. This is very good. Separated nicely. And if you have a road coming in on the side and meeting it, this area here, this is where the conflict can happen. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous area. Cars may not see the motorcyclists because they're small. We talked about sight lines. You want to provide nice, clear vision for a driver. And we also sometimes like to paint a different colour on this area. So if a driver comes to here, they know, oh, to not sit there and be a hazard for motorcyclists. Not from any of your jurisdictions, this is in China. It's a nice motorcycle lane. They're also having bike riders on there. Now this is an interesting mix. The motorcyclists can go a lot faster and they mix together. So I give a nice tick because they have a separated lane. That's good. We like that. The barriers that they've used to separate. So I talked about, okay, we don't want cars to use this. So they've physically separated it. I should give them half a tick for that, probably. That's good that they've physically separated, but the barrier they've used it's not a good barrier to use for motorcycle safety. This is a pedestrian barrier, and if you have lots of motorcyclists and one of them falls and hits this or catches a wheel there, they can get tangled up in it. It's not the right barrier. It's the right idea. They've got the right concept. The implementation, not quite right. Now, if you are going to have dedicated lanes that mix bicycle riders and motorcycles, it's important to start thinking about the speed differential, so the difference in speeds. In the notes, I've recommended that you try to limit the speed of motorcyclists if they're going to be mixing with push bikes, and try to get that speed differential closer. It's a hard thing to do. You may need speed limits, you may need enforcement, or you may need to start to try to look at providing a dotted line down the middle and keeping everybody left or keeping everybody right, except for one's going faster. Again, it's separation. We can talk more about that. This sign, I like. It's telling the motorcyclists to keep left. They have a dedicated lane. Keep into your lane. Again, small little issues, but this is what I call a squeeze point. And that's where everything narrows in, squeezes in. A lot of congestion out there in your big cities. Congestion is often caused by squeeze points. Everybody coming in slows everything down. If there's speeds involved, like you would get here because the congestion isn't bad, it can be forcing the motorcyclists in to mix with the general traffic. So we lose that advantage of separation. Again, we've done separation. This is good. We're happy about separation. Again, not the right thing to use to separate. I very much thumbs up for separation. But if a motorcyclist has to avoid something, or there's a movement and they end up here, they hit that and they come off. This is Thailand again, isn't it? Okay, this one we can improve, but the right idea. This is a little bit more of a minor issue, but again, a nice separated lane, but we have objects in the lane. These are okay now because they're flush with the road surface, but as this road wears and it needs maintenance, these areas will be the first to break up, to crack up. And then you get potholes which the motorcyclists will have to deal with. But this is, it's good that they've got a dedicated lane. It would be nice if people didn't park in the lane. Give a lot of ticks to this one. I was very happy with it. Separated lane, that's good. Information saying this is for motorcycles. They've even given a little bit of extra room for the cars, for the motorcyclists. And they've done a little bit of wider ceiling here, which is, it's great. This is a very good facility for motorcycle riders. Very good. I probably shouldn't have put as many crosses on this as I have, but it's because this is a very good facility. This one in Malaysia? Yes. I very much like it. It's a fantastic facility. It's very good because it's separation, physical separation, away from the road. No chance a car's going to get onto that. Okay? That's great. That is very good. And this is where I get into design standards. Fantastic lane. Dotted line down the middle. Faster vehicles are keeping to the right or the left. Slower vehicles to the left, I think, on this one. And faster vehicles can go to the right. This is good. But there are some specific design characteristics here which have been designed for a road for cars. Those designs have filtered into the motorcycle-specific lane. And this is what I talked about with the United States standard, the AASHTO standards for those engineers. You'll know the AASHTO standards. We've taken these standards which were design standards for cars, and we're using them for motorcyclists. But they have different needs. The two examples here, a drop-off, a gutter, an edge drop-off. For a car, this is not a problem. Small drop off, yes, the car may, lose a bit of stability, but everybody's okay with that. For a motorcycle, they will lose control, they will fall off the bike. So that's a design issue that we're thinking cars, not motorcyclists. We need to think on this, motorcyclists. And the other I use is the guardrail, the W-beam. This one, that device is a good device for cars. It's okay. It's okay for motorcyclists. Some motorcyclists hit the side of it and they bounce along. That's okay. But a lot of motorcyclists, and there's worldwide research on this, when they hit this barrier, they two things. One, they hit it and they go over the top of it. So they come off here, they hit it, and they go over the top. The other, about 40% worldwide, so it'll be different for each jurisdiction, they are already off their bike. They are sliding along the ground. And they're sliding along the ground and they hit the bottom of the barrier. This doesn't happen for cars. They're always the same when the rider is sliding along and they hit the posts of this. So I think that this is a fantastic initiative, a dedicated motorcycle lane, and it's proving to be fantastic for safety. From talking to Malaysians, the safety improvement is fantastic. We can do a little bit better even by designing it. If you're going to spend all the money to build this facility, let's build it with standards that are specific for motorcyclists. In our country roads, our regional roads, this one here has a good surface and a good line down the middle. In a number of countries around the world, we have a big problem where cars and trucks will overtake slower vehicles. So we have a slow vehicle going along here and the faster vehicle overtakes. If a motorcyclist is coming in the other direction, often they just tell the motorcyclist is expected to move. The bigger vehicle that is overtaking, it seems to just go. Now this is, against the law, but it's what happens. This is why I say this is a very good, very nice road, very good surface, good pavement. A lot of money has been spent building this road. And it's very good. But if we can have sealed shoulders like this, it just provides that bit for a motorcyclist to escape a vehicle coming at them. Small increase in the cost overall of building a road. If you can provide even small sealed shoulders, just enough for a rider to escape. Because if they go into the gravel, the dirt, a drop-off, they come off their bike. And if they come off their bike at speed, they're in trouble. This is a very nice shoulder. I like this. You can even see a rider riding in it. This one is for discussion, because we have a road here which has a bad surface. The advantage we have with this at the moment, speeds will be low. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay? Yes. So we're happy because people are riding slow, so that's good. But we want to upgrade the road. Okay? It improves mobility. It improves the economy. This is a good. We want to get a good standard road. We want a nice, smooth road. But the riders will go faster. And this is more dangerous. We're talking now about speed management devices, the road humps. Okay? This is interesting because for a motorcyclist, that will slow them down. But if they hit that unexpectedly, if it's a surprise for them, they can come off the bike. So if you're going to manage speed with bumps or devices that narrow the road, you know, these sort of things, they need to be well lit, because at night, if a motorcyclist at speed hits that, very dangerous. They need to be well lit, they need to be line marked, they need to be obvious. You can still use them. They are great devices for pedestrian safety, for vehicle safety, and they are good for motorcycle safety because they will slow down. But when you are putting in bids for funding for road improvements like this, so you say, this is a very important road, we need to improve it. Make sure you think, okay, we have a lot of motorcyclists. What do motorcyclists need? Okay, can we put a separated motorcycle facility when we upgrade this road? Can we do that? Yeah. Yes, that's great. If they say, no, we don't have the money to do that, what other things can we do? A bit of a road shoulder we talked about. That's good. So always think about that. When we build new roads, think about motorcyclists when you're building those new roads and think about their needs. They are, in this room, the biggest user group in your countries. They should get the priority in design standards. Yet we still design for cars. Speed. Here are some things we can do to address speed. Speed limits. We need to set appropriate speed limits. You all have speed limits and different systems that you run. And we could talk for days about the setting of speed limits. But it is one option to manage speed, but it is not the only option. Enforcement. So once you have set a speed limit, the enforcement of that speed limit using speed cameras, or you can do manual detection. There are very sophisticated electronic devices out there that can measure point-to-point speed. So they are available, and if you want to implement those in your jurisdictions, I highly recommend it. Any way you can get people to lower their speeds, it improves safety. Engineering. We talked about road humps. We can narrow the road environment. There are different features you can do from an engineering perspective to slow speeds. And education. If we can educate people to comply with speed limits, to understand why they need to slow down, they may slow down. But I like to think that you have to do these all in combination. Just putting out speed limits by themselves, signs out on the road, is not going to be effective if you don't enforce that. And even with those, some engineering measures complement it, and education and understanding. I've said here, standards does not equal safety. Now this may be concerning to some of you. If you follow standards and only follow standards, it does not guarantee safety. Sometimes standards conflict with each other, and sometimes standards are developed for the wrong road user. So we've talked about it. We had a motorcycle lane only for motorcyclists, but the standards that were used were for cars. So what we do worldwide for general road safety are things called road safety audits. You may have heard of road safety audits, and you may do road safety audits in your country. But what I really encourage is for new road projects that you have road safety audits for those. And road safety audits look at, okay, are these standards complementary to each other? Do they take into account the road users? You can also have a look at your road design standards, and if you have a big population of motorcycle riders in your fleet, maybe look at developing specific standards for motorcyclists. There are some out there, but there is a lot of work still to be done worldwide in road design and road engineering to improve the safety for motorcyclists. One thing we're doing now more and more in Australia, but it's happening in other jurisdictions around the world, is we do a motorcycle safety audit. So this is for a new piece of road or an existing road, and you have a specific motorcyclist who reports on the needs of a motorcycle rider. Now this is just the way my company does it. We have a group and we have road safety auditors in the car, and we follow the motorcycle rider, and the motorcycle rider talks to us via a microphone in the helmet, reports to us what they're seeing on the road, what they're feeling, what the issues are. We drive behind, we record, we video the whole thing, we get other information, and what this does is that we can then report back and say, for a new road or an existing bit of road, okay, here are the issues specifically for motorcycle riders. I like to also try to get into the heads of the engineers and the designers at an early stage and teach them about motorcycle safety and the needs of motorcyclists. So I lecture at 3 of the universities in Australia, where I go in and I run 1 or 2 sessions a semester for the transport engineers and the designers about what needs to be done for motorcyclists. We talked about the guardrail or the W-beam, Armco, whatever you call this device in your country. And as I said, it is designed for a car. It's designed for a car to hit it. Now, there are things you can do, designs that you can do, and I use this as just an example of the thinking. But providing this facility is simple. This device provides a safer environment for a motorcyclist. As I told you, a lot of them are sliding when they hit it. They can slide along that as opposed to catching a limb, like a leg or an arm, on one of these posts. That's just one example of many things where the design standard can be improved for motorcycle safety. Another example is signs. We use a very rigid aluminium post. There are signs available that are Flexible. So if a rider came off and hit this sign, it would be flexible. The exercise we're going to do now is you're all going to be road safety auditors looking for motorcycle safety issues. Okay? So I'm going to play, if the video works, we'll play some video footage. If not, I've got some pictures. And what you're going to do is, in your workbook, you're just going to, as you see them, issues for motorcyclists that are dangerous, hazards for motorcyclists. Just whatever you see, you just jot it down. From the road engineering perspective. Road engineering only. Let's have another exercise. Same again. Just write down what you see as the hazard. What you think the risk is. Is it very risky? Is it okay? And what you can do about it. With no restrictions on cost. You have all the money you want. Okay? So just write that down. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Look at the surface. We could look at line marking. If we had all the money in the world, we could look at a separated facility for motorcyclists. But, you know, we all have financial constraints, and you need to think about what is the best you can do with the money you have available. So in your workbooks, just jot down a few things you see there that we could improve. Very good points. Again, I stress, a great facility, very good for motorcycle safety, separated, fantastic, nicely divided. The drain there, that is a hazard, it will destabilize a rider. And again, we've used guardrail without any protection. So this facility, you know, 95% right, we could get it to 100%. When you in your countries build any facilities like this, which I hope you will, we can save lots of motorcyclist lives with these facilities. Let's just think about design standards for motorcyclists.